There's birds and there's birds. Some meet along the way. But you see them and they just kind of up and fly away. Now a swan may float on a lake in splendor, and a gull may fly like there is no end there. But there's birds of a special kind. Now ugly birds on the highway stop, and they sometimes sit on a rooftop. But there's birds of a special kind. In a cage you can study their regimented movements. And on a wall you'll see their once strong valor. It used to be, but there's birds of a special kind. On a wire they'll sit like birds of prey. They'll whirl around in fits of play. They bring great joy with their rapid dives. They make the observer glad that he's alive. They're playful, loving, and they cause great fun. They're only here to please someone. They're birds of a special kind. Now the great birds and the ugly birds, bird on wing, they all got their own little places to be. And they all got their own little songs to sing. But that last group who sit on the highway and play are you. You're special to me in every way. 'Cause you're birds of a special kind. Yes, you're birds of a special kind.
To tell you is that if you have not seen Kung Fu Panda 3, it is made for adults. It just, our children and our grandchildren get us to go to those things so then we ourselves can move out of the intellect into our hearts and sit there and buy them highly expensive popcorn. Grandmas and grandmas give them everything that's full of sugar that their parents would not. But when Paul and I went, I said, oh my gosh, when we went with our dearest Greta, I thought, I want to go again and again and again, because if any of you have seen Kung Fu Panda 1 or Kung Fu Panda 2, there's a part in that particular show where he was trying to understand, Poe was trying to understand who he was and who he was connected to. And there was a time when he was kind of elevated and raised up into the air. And his master and his teacher said, I realize that you've been trying to figure out who you are. And he was kind of floating and doing his kung fu stuff. And he said, yes, I was trying to decide whether I'm the father of a panda, because he met his father in that one. I was trying to decide whether, I'm the son of a panda bear. That was my father. I was trying to decide whether I was a son of a duck, because a duck had raised him. I was trying to decide whether I was a spiritual warrior. I was trying to decide because my master told me that I was this warrior dragon. And yet I was told, because of my gentleness, that I was indeed this gentle panda, that I knew nothing and everything. And so all of a sudden he says, but I have realized I am them all. And the chi started coming out of his hands. And the chi started coming out of the top of his crown chakra. And the chi started coming out of his heart and his gut and his toes. I mean, the chi was going, and of course, I'm sitting there like one of these kids going, oh my God, that's what I'm teaching, that's what I know, that's what my teachers have been telling us. That we are all one. That we are all one. That we are all one. So I did go to the Bible this morning and was reading something, but the first thing that I wanted to have you open up your hearts to is this. I love this. This comes from the book of Oneness by Rasha. when you have an experience of harmony of the heart, and you feel this heartfelt glow of oneness, even if it's only for a fleeting moment, the knowingness is indelibly etched upon your consciousness, and you will never forget. So the reason why we invite people to the Hope Interfaith Center, the reason why we invite you to come to spiritual service, the reason why we have you come, if you can't come to spiritual service, come to yoga. If you can't come to yoga, you come to the Course of Miracles. If you can't come to the Course of Miracles, come to the gazebo. If you can't go to the gazebo, walk around the place. It is about helping you have experiences of oneness that will indelibly be etched in your heart forever. Even if it's one moment, and next moment, and the next moment. Because what happens inside of our brain when we have a moment of inclusive love is fired and wired. We become fired and wired differently than we have ever been the time before that moment. And anything that is repetitive, more firing, more wiring, more firing, more wiring. And knowing Susan Ruth and her dedication to the animals, and knowing other beings who are very dedicated to the animals, and knowing beings that could not nor would not live without them. If I asked most of you if you've ever owned an animal, or your kids ever owned an animal, or your grandchildren ever owned an animal, or your next door neighbor ever owned an animal, my humble guess would be is that you would all would rise. Because what I've come to understand now more deeply within that animal kingdom, how much we are indeed one with each other. And yet here upon the planet, when we do talk about oneness, we might think that we got it when it comes that I am one with you, you are one with me, we are one with everybody, but somehow, some way, these animals, and somehow, some way even, Gaia Mother Earth, is a disconnect from that oneness. So when I went to Genesis, then God said, "Let the waters abound with abundance of living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth across the firmament of the heavens." So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which the waters abound, accordingly to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw it, and what was it? It was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind." And then God said, it was Genesis. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." I think it's interesting because it did say our likeness. "Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him male and female. He created him and her, and he said, it was good. So the commonality that I saw in all of this is let the earth bring forth. Let the earth, Mama Goddess, Gaia, soil, she, who we are on right now, is a living, breathing mama. She's our mother. Let the earth bring forth that which is. And if we are made, as it says in the biblical text, and in the I Ching, and in the Quran, and in all of these sacred scriptures of the Torah, again, in all of those sacred scriptures, it all talks about the reunion of oneness. And the ingredients within that union of oneness is love. Supreme God, Goddess love. And once again, as many of you know, that when you ask an animal to come into your life, that it does, they do, leave, you fired and wired in a different way. Whether it is a Dunlop little rabbit called Lola, who might pee on your shoulder and when you're holding her, or whether it is any of your animals that you've ever had. The reason why you have that dance with those animals, and even a further dance with those animals, is because there's chi, there's cosmic ocean in those animals, that your chi comes out and meets their chi. You come together, you fire, and you wire. So although I miss my dog, I have come to realize I'm still wired with the essence of that dog. And so the essence of that dog isn't really the dog alone, it's the energy that comes through those animals. Because you begin to love them. And it's very interesting because what I've seen with animals is that you don't have to give them a whole lot, because they just keep giving to you. Giving to you. So as we come together and understanding, perhaps the biggest thing to understand is how love makes your neurons differently. You will be walking out of this room differently. Because we, the goddess, the cosmic intelligence, the angels, the saints, the holy ones, the guides, the teachers, the healers, the beings of white light come, and they know that we are indeed embracing everything, everybody, everyone. Here at Hope Interfaith Center. Duality consciousness. You will not hear some are better, some are less, some are more, some are here. The guides come to you to fire you and wire you a different way. This room today was set up intentionally by the art that's around this room and by the beings of white light. It is wired intentionally and consciously. We come to pray here before you even come, to help everyone move into oneness consciousness. There are over 15 names of animals stated in the Bible: ferret, fish, frog, goat, greyhound, hare, hippopotamus, hornet, horse, badger, bat, bear, birds, chickens, deer, dog, dragons. Everybody didn't think dragons. Elephants, leopards, lizards, mouse, viper, weasel, whale, wolf. Something that I can't even pronounce. Paul, help me. Pygarg, whatever that says. And then it says under that, and everybody knows what that is: ram, roe, scorpion, serpent, sheep, swine, unicorn, unicorn. So this is the other thing that I wanted to say before I pass it on to dear Chris. It is in this service today, in this cosmic moment of now, that we hope that you join us. And that is a commitment and a willingness to join us in this moment. Just meet us in this moment. It's not about joining the church. Meet me and join me in this moment. That might be etched in your heart forever. And that may your oneness remind you that it includes all living creatures, big and small and big. So right now, I want you to think of your animals, those of whom you've had. As you were growing up on farms, perhaps, think of the animals that you have. And think of the animals that perhaps you will have. Think of the animals that perhaps you've seen along the way to this very service. Okay, we're going to fire and wire. Dearest God, Goddess, and all that is, we call forth the heavenly host to bless all the living creatures of this world. We ask especially for today, in this moment, to have a firing and wiring that is inclusive of this beautiful animal kingdom, that teaches us so very many things. And that literally the lives, and we have a woman here in this room today, her life is dependent upon her animal. I'm going to stretch that and say that all of us, our life is dependent in many ways, many, many ways, upon these beautiful animals. And so we send them love, and we bless all these creatures who have come from the ocean of the heart of Gaia Mother Earth, as well as us. We are all one. We are all one. We are all one. We bless you and thank you to the animal kingdom.